Welcome to the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast, episode 243. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else the gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Chad Wallace from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and all things firearms related. Tonight on the show, we discuss stuff Tony can actually own in New Jersey and a review or two. So on the podcast tonight, the only person we have besides me is Zane.
Hi.
Did you do anything with firearms this week?
Not really. I ordered some ammo, so I got some ammo in. It's my annual change out my carry ammo time. So ordered 150 rounds of HSTs. And of course some extra reduced recoil buckshot because I love that stuff. And I was on This Week in Guns last week. That was fun. I didn't actually shoot anything. But
I heard you. You didn't actually shoot anything. Well, guess what? I didn't either.
No.
No, I'm trying to think. I didn't really. I thought about it. Does that count? Yeah. Instead, I finished up my review, which we'll discuss later. And I think that's about all I did. I did get some stuff in for review. Was telling you earlier, but the people on the podcast don't know. Boyd sent me their @1 shotgun stock, so I will be reviewing it here in a couple months or so. I already reviewed one of their rifle stocks, so you can go look at it on Firearms Insider. And let's see, I think I got something else, but I don't remember what it is offhand. I guess that leads us boring people into the announcements. Bandwidth sponsors our buddies over at Patriot Patch Co. There are new patches for pre-order, and you can always join the patch of the month, and that way you can get cool patches like the Always Vigilant Lady Liberty patch. The new patch for pre-order is it's service animal. It says service animal, do not pet. And then one of them has a bite out of it and it says no petting, eye contact, or smiling. So that's kind of cool, especially if you have a dog or something.
Or you are, in fact, an animal.
Well, that's probably why Ryan designed it, because he is, in fact, an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you should definitely go follow them on Facebook if you don't, because they've been posting some hilarious memes lately.
The Patriot Patch Co. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, go follow them. Instagram, Facebook, and some of their stuff is pretty funny. If you're shopping Amazon, please use our affiliate link at firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And if you want to donate to Tony's Diversity Shoot and you are shopping at Black Bag Resources, use the code 2A4E and all the stuff you buy will be donated to him. And since Rob is not here tonight, he is working and Tony is on vacation or something. I guess I'll read this disclaimer that, I don't know, Rob wants us to read or something. We'll mess it up, so it doesn't matter. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows when Zane is here and his internet is not working.
Yeah, it's working tonight so far.
I noticed that. It seems pretty good. So then we do have a product review, and it is my product review. What we have tonight is the Stern Defense Mag AD9 magazine adapter for AR rifles. I'm not really going to do much showing it on the video. You guys can just listen, but here it is in an AR if you're listening. And I will explain it later. This thing, Stern Defense did a nice job with this thing. It is a magazine block for standard AR-15 rifles, to convert them to 9mm or 40. The 89 is Glock mag specific, so it uses the Glock 9 or 40 magazines. The one I'm using, I'm running 9mm magazines because, well, why would you want 40? Uh, you do need a Glock style bolt or a 9mm bolt that is cut to work with the Glock style magazines. Uh, this thing is pretty nice and hefty. When I say nice, it's kind of hard to explain over the air, but if you go look at the Firearms Insider review, it's got some good pictures in there. It's made from 6061 aluminum, so you're pretty much standard. It is hard coat anodized. It does have some steel and plastic parts where needed, like the mag release is steel, and the jib that holds it kind of puts pressure on it in the front is plastic of some sort. It has a built-in feed ramp that is nickel boron coated, which supposedly helps smooth out the transfer from the rounds from the magazine to the chamber. It also makes the feed ramp really easy to clean, which was nice. Uh, when I was using it, I ran all different weights and style of 9mm ammo through it. Everything fed reliably. I even have a nice supply of 124 grain gold dot plus P's, and those even worked fine. And I don't know if it probably has to do with their mag adapter. I have not had any problems to feed whatsoever. I think it's got about 700 rounds through it now. And that might just be everything that's hooked up right. But people say, well, you haven't had any problems. Well, I did have some ammo problems from reloads I had. So it's not that the gun didn't jam or have problems. It's just everything wanted to feed. It just might have not gone into the chamber. So to install the mag adapter, basically I used a standard forged mil-spec lower. They do have a list on their website that says it's like if it's not a standard mil-spec receiver, what works, what might not work. Some of the exotic billet ones, the way it fits in, it kind of has to fit a normal one. So there is that. Basically, you just take it out of the box, put it into the magazine well like you would any standard AR magazine. You'll hear it click into the standard magazine release on your AR. And then you basically tighten these screws. On the bottom, there's 3 screws. It gives you supplied Allen wrenches. There's a larger one and 2 smaller ones. And basically the larger one is the jib screw, and the jib is the wedge style plastic piece on the front of the magazine adapter that pushes up against the magazine wall. And you pull down on the adapter against your standard magazine adapter or magazine release, just kind of hold it down, and then you tighten up the jib screw, and that forces that plastic piece against the lower. It's kind of stuck in there now. And then the 2 other smaller set screws, you take the other Allen wrench and you basically screw them in until they touch the lower receiver. They're like have like rubber or something on top of them, so you just kind of screw them in until they touch and you're good to go there, and you're done with the hard part. So I ran this thing. It works great, like I said. In this particular pistol caliber carbine, I'm running one of the Gun Tech USA bolt carrier groups, and it is actually cut for both the Glock style and Colt style. So you can run either, but in this case, it needed to be the Glock style. I ran a bunch of different types of magazines. From, let's see, I have original Glock mags, Magpul mags, ETS mags, and some Amend 2 Glock mags. They all worked fine. They all dropped free. The one difference with this magazine adapter is the magazine release. And what it is it's a push button that you push with if you're right-handed, you push it forward with your trigger finger, and it's like right parallel with kind of the trigger guard on your AR lower. And it took a little bit to get used to because I'd be like trying to find it. Uh, it's just a training issue. You know, if you hit the standard AR magazine release, it does nothing. So you don't have to worry about your adapter falling out or anything like that. I The only problem I really ran into with the magazine release is not that it didn't drop all the magazines free. It's just under pressure I had a problem. I would push my finger forward and it would be above where the magazine release is. So, you know, there is that. Like I said, that's a training issue, not really my problem. Uh, it is not ambidextrous. So if you're left handed, you kind of have to grab for reloads, you kind of have to grab with your offhand and kind of like an AK, just push it with your thumb and then the magazine will drop free. It's kind of a little odd, but it's not that you can't do it fast. Uh, the mag well's also slightly beveled to help with reloads. Uh, that's always a plus. There's a picture in there with my left hand of pushing the magazine release, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how to do it if you can't use your trigger finger. Uh, you know, a lot of people they're like, well, I can get just a regular lower that's 9 millimeter, like Zane has, for instance. And I can understand that, but there's also differences if you already have, say, a registered SBR or even a registered full auto M16 lower or registered full auto converted AR-15 lower. Then you can't just buy a lower. So the magazine block is a big advantage if you want to shoot cheaper 9 millimeter for practice, or if you have a sub gun, an M16, you can convert it to, you know, shoot full auto 9 millimeter, which is way cheaper than shooting 5.56. So that's a plus. You know, you don't have to like register your 9 millimeter lower if you already have a 5.56 lower or something like that, which I like that idea. Uh, in the review, I also mentioned another nice thing about their mag block is it does have last round hold open. So it'll hold the bolt back, uh, hooks up, it works with your standard AR bolt release. So if it locks back on your magazine, you drop the mag, put a new one in, just hit the bolt release like normal, and off you go. You can also still, as you could probably guess, just pull the bolt back and lock it and do the same thing. But the ejector is also built in as part of the magazine well adapter. Uh, if you happen to damage it or wear it out, you can buy new ones from Stern Defense, which they're fairly cheap. I just happened to stumble across them when I was writing the review. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You can buy replacements for those. So it's not something that's out there and once it's gone, it's gone. Uh, I really like this product. It is expensive. We'll get into that in a little bit. I think it was worth it, especially if you're looking at putting it in something that has a registered receiver. Uh, so if you're in the market for that, they also have a bunch of other pistol caliber carbine stuff. So you can go check out that stuff at, I think it's getstern.com or something, I think is their website, which is nice. If you just type in Stern Defense, I'm sure you can find it. We'll get into the Firearms Insider Review 8 key points. The claim to fame: it is a magazine block to convert standard AR-15 lowers to 9mm Glock magazines. Target market: those wanting 9mm carbine on a standard AR-15 lower receiver. Features and benefits: it is made in the USA. It's made of the 6061 T6 aluminum. It does have that nickel boron coated feed ramp. It is hard coat anodized. It has an ergonomic mag release, which, yeah, it's easy to do. So, works with all generation of Glock magazines. Pretty much works with any mil spec lower receiver. Pretty much everything remains stock except, of course, your upper. That's kind of a given. They also make other adapters for Beretta 92 magazines, M&P magazines, and M&P 45 ACP magazines. There is a thing on what others are saying. There's also a link to another review. And the price point, the MSRP is $179.99. And retail is exactly the same. And you can get it at Brownells. So if you need it now, either one of those places is a good place to get it. Our rating, the pros, easy installation. Of course, it has the last round bolt open. It is very well made. The magazine's drop free, and it does have a beveled magwell. The cons, of course, the price, and the magazine release is not in the standard location. So I did give it a score of 8.5 because it is nice. Really, the only thing is the price. That's really the only thing that knocks this thing down. Excuse me. So if Zane has any questions, we'll let him answer it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now I like the the idea of the built-in feed ramp. I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of pistol caliber carbines. Just for that price, I'm probably going to go the dedicated lower. I see what you're talking about with if you have a registered lower of whatever.
And that's really,
but man, that's a hefty price for an insert. It seems to be a very, very well built insert. I've seen some very not well built inserts. So this one, based on your review, seems to be made very, very well. But that price tag's hard to swallow. It. I don't think I'm pretty sure I paid less than that for my strip. I'm pretty sure I built my entire lower, save the
complete,
save the brace, for about that.
I completely understand that, and and it's nice, and I mean, especially if you want to like run it in like your SBR or something, but because otherwise, I mean, yes, for some people they might like it better. It's to each their own. I mean, I like it. It's built well. It runs nice.
I wish the magazine well was flared even more. They got a lot of room in there to work with. They could have really put a gigantic magwell down there.
To answer your question, they make like they machine one out of some sort of like Delrin or something. Nylon. I'm not sure what, but they do manufacture one that bolts on there that is just huge.
Well, because I was looking at the pictures and I'm like, man, they got so much room. They could have flared that from the front and from the sides a little bit.
Right.
But
and the thing is like the way the magazine release is running down the side, they don't have tons of room. I mean, the pictures don't do it justice, but like I said, they do make a magazine well for it.
And I mean, not that you need it because you're talking about a Glock mag, which feeds from a single point. So, I mean, you already have a little bit of, tapering going on.
I'm going to say that, yes, you do.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why is I ran it in, I think it's like 3 different matches now. One was kind of a USPSA / steel match. And if you're doing magazine changes on the clock, it's a bigger magwell would help. But yeah, they do make one on their website. And
I was just looking at my magazine well,
and it's huge
on the dedicated, and I was like, yeah, it looks bigger than the one in this block. Right. And mine's, like I said, a dedicated, so it's not nearly as big as a 5.56 magwell.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, but there it is.
It looks like it's well built, and then based on your review, I mean, it's working. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I have had 0 problems with it. I mean, literally, it's the only problems I had were ammo related with the gun, and that was my fault, not they still stripped it from the magazine. I even was running a really light trigger in it at first, and it was doubling on it, and the magazine adapter worked fine. Of course, it was just too much, so I put a heavier trigger back in it, but
Right.
that was the trigger and the direct blowback system, so that had nothing to do with it. But it did run that way, so it's even a plus.
But we all know how much I just love pistol caliber carbines.
I know. And they do. I can see them from. Yeah, they're fun, but they give you a better training aspect for cheaper if you want to run them that way.
Not with that mag release, they don't.
Right, right. But for some things, and now in competitions, you can run a lot of them. Even USPSA has a basic class for them, and so everybody's pretty much running them. They're kind of the new fad. I don't think they're going anywhere. I just think they're here to stay because why not? And they're running calibers that everybody has anyway. I mean,
and magazines, everybody has it anyway.
And that's exactly. Well, now we'll get into the product spotlight and discussion. First up is the Monarch Arms ARG2 receiver set. And with an MSRP of $550, it might be a little expensive. But let me go through what this thing is first so that people who might be interested will understand. It's basically an AR-10 size style receiver set, upper, lower, and it will run HKG3 style magazines. Some set me mags are basically the same, so those will work, or you might have to modify them a little bit. It said it is 7075 aluminum. It is made in the USA. It is compatible with standard DPMS AR-10 style parts. So, it's not like it's something proprietary besides the lower and upper. Compatible with the high handguard DPMS style. It does not have last round bolt hold open because the G3 mags don't allow this feature. So it's not because they didn't want to put it in there. It's just because G3's magazines don't have it.
There's no notch.
Exactly. Everything's hard code anodized. Basically, if you have like a ton of G3 mags laying around, this might be something you would like. It's nicely built. It looks decent. It runs standard.
The pores need not apply.
Yeah.
It's for HK people.
Yes. And that's true. I mean, with the price of it and by the time you build it, it's not for everybody. But if this is something you want or something that you think would be nice, it's kind of cool. I mean, it was new. I threw it in here. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't know anybody who'd probably buy one. Well, maybe one or two people, but I'm sure they'll sell some and it's a good idea. I think years ago, another company used to make something similar, but I couldn't really find anything. So there is that. We'll let Zane discuss what he thinks about it besides the HK people.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's if you got a bunch of those mags laying around and you just want another gas gun, that'll take. I don't have a 308 gas gun. Don't have a need for one. I said, this is not for the pores, I guess. Yeah. And that's me. So
that's me too. I have children. The funny part is I don't have a 308 gas gun either, or 6.5 gas gun or anything like that. I used to have an M1A, which I guess classified as a kind of a gas gun. The only 308 I actually own anymore is a lever action 308, so hunting rifle.
I I don't know. If you're an HK guy and you like this, get it. I just don't see a huge market for this, honestly, at all. I
And
don't want it.
yeah, I'm with you. I just kind of thought it was, something cool. It's the summer, end of the summer. Nobody's bringing out anything new. We got to find stuff. So this is something new. Uh, go check them out. Next up is something for Tony specifically. We put this in there thanks to our buddy Ryan, who posted it on the Firearms Insider Facebook page. Ex Ryan, who we shall not speak of, but do all the time. This, hopefully, I pronounce this right. The Logitech Bear Opener, and it has an MSRP of a whole $16. Uh, and if you know anything about this or have seen anything about this, it is basically a bottle opener that screws into your unused A2 grip. So therefore, you have an A2 grip bottle opener. I thought it was kind of cool when I saw it, and since Tony has like 50 million of these things, and you gotta if you always need a bottle opener, so
This is absolutely brilliant. I
it
mean,
is really
because there's nothing you can do with an A2 pistol grip once you replace, like there's some parts, like if you replace something, like there's things you can do with it, and some parts not so much. An A2 pistol grip is one of those not so much parts. Like it just takes up space, or you throw it away. Nobody wants it. You can't sell it online. Like nobody wants it. So this is brilliant. Like $16, and it just threads right into your pre-existing, hole in your A2 grip, and you got a beer opener.
that's
Like,
right.
I would keep these stashed around the house. It's great.
Yeah,
I'm gonna order one.
I mean, the price is right. I mean, yeah, it says also on their website, it also says that, they can do out special things for engraving or special events or something. So,
Yeah.
you know
Well,
what?
and why? And I'm there's a whole market for this. I'm sure they'll come out with like wine corks and all kinds of. I mean, there's this is a. I'm sure you're gonna see a lot more from them. I mean, because why not?
Yeah,
You could literally have like a whole, if you wanted to, like a whole dining plate with forks and knives and spoons and just all A2 pistol grips.
yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
they got a thing here. This is brilliant. I can't believe nobody saw this.
yeah, I thought so too. I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool, especially for people like Tony who have 50 million pistol
Mm-hmm.
grips. Yeah, that was one of those things. I was like, this is cool. The funny part is literally today on our email, our buddy, not Ryan, but uh, who does the This Weekend Guns, the show notes, Kenny. Kenny Ortega sent me an email, said, "Hey, have you seen these?" He said, "Tony needs some." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I put it in the show notes already. We're talking about it tonight because I had stuff going on last night. He's like, "Oh, that's cool." So, okay. Now, because we're on stuff
Also,
that,
if anybody's in the chat, um, I don't have my tablet, and that's why I'm not in there.
oh, there, there,
Sorry,
there, there are people. There's a couple people. There's,
I can't see it because I don't have my tablet with me. So, sorry.
yeah, yeah. There. It sounds like the guy who makes those is in there. That's what it looks like.
Well, you should
So,
definitely make all kinds of things for them.
yeah, he says he has a few other ideas in the works. So that's yes, and now he's got a wine cork idea in the works thanks to you.
Yeah. Or I mean,
So
you could do a whole dinner plate with it. The knife, the fork, the spoons, a little salad fork over to the side. I mean, it'd be kind of very bachelor esque, but whatever.
yeah, well, yeah. I'm trying to figure out maybe a switchblade one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bottle opener that is. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. So
Beard comb, right? There you go.
oh
Beard
yeah,
comb. Yeah.
yeah, regular comb. Says he was considering a dinner set. So see, you're on the right track.
See, I'm telling you, I can't believe nobody started this. Like, this
Yeah,
is brilliant.
that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. And I thought that was pretty cool too. Next up is something that I guess is not really firearms related at all, but it is. we have the 60 millimeter Nerf mortar, which isn't really a Nerf product, but that's what they're calling it. Now, this thing by itself is kind of cool too, especially if you have kids. You can buy it off Amazon. It's like $68.90 or something. It's kind of cool. I also, in the show notes, I linked to the Soldier System article because it actually kind of explained how this thing worked. They said it weighs about 3 pounds. It has foam mortar shells. Goes about 6 meters. But they said it's got a plastic cylinder that accompanies the shells that has a priming device, and there's a spring assembly in it, so that when you put it on there and when you drop it down into the tube, it gets flicked, and the spring mechanism is what launches those things. You know, had this been 10 years ago and they made this, I would probably have one sitting around here somewhere but my kids are too old now. Yeah.
I thought it was super cool until I read how far it shoots. And I'm like, 6 meters? What? No, I'm done.
Hey, just put a stronger spring in it. I'm sure you can modify it.
I thought it was like awesome because I was when I first, so I kind of thought what it was more like a 37 millimeter type deal, and you could probably buy like flares and smoke and all kinds of stuff. No, it's literally it shoots a little foam dart like 12 feet.
Hey, whatever.
No, not 12 feet. My math is off. Like 18 feet.
Well, yeah, then it goes 18 feet. Yeah. I don't know. You can launch it over the neighbor's fence. That's about it. So
yeah, so the neighbor's dog chews up your toy.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was cool at first, and then I read it only shoots 6 meters. So I'm like, that's not even. What is this?
Yeah, but it's no potato gun. But hey,
nah. If you got kids, if you're like I can't remember what the MOS code is, 03 something. If you're like a mortarman and your kids are always asking you what you did in the Marines,
that would be so cool.
There you go. Then you can show them this is, except for people died when we did it. But.
Yeah. Yep. So that is all the product. We're gonna get out of here pretty quick tonight, but hey, that's what happens when we don't have people on it, and we actually have some listener feedback. Some's good, some's not, some's okay. So I guess I'll read it to you. First one's from Steve H. Both these came in through email, so it says an occasional joke or jab is fine, but you guys are getting carried away. Stop trying to be comedians. Some of you think you are funny, but you are not. Trust me. Also, the repetition is killing me. Some of you guys will say the exact same sentence 5 times in the same episode. Rob and Tony are especially guilty of this. Unfortunately, they're not here to defend themselves, so we might read it next week too. Said sorry to name names. Believe me, we heard you the first time. I think sometimes we get carried away. And so we repeat the same things, but yeah, maybe we'll try to do something about it. I've been listening for the 40, 50 episodes and the quality is going down. I find myself lately pressing the forward 10 seconds button on my player a lot. I really like the meat of what you guys are doing. Just please cut back on their extraneous crap. It detracts from what used to be a high quality show. Thanks. So there is that.
It seemed kind of repetitive. You seem to say the same thing a few times. And what player is he using that only has a forward 10 seconds button? Mine has a forward 30 seconds button. So you need to update your player.
Mine you can adjust, and I think I got it set to forward a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do that does anybody not do that on podcasts though?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't listen to the beginning of any podcast.
No, ours, yeah, because like ours, unless you want to know what we did with guns, yeah, I'll even
I always fast forward through most podcasts. I never listen to the beginning of a podcast.
Yeah.
It's rare that I listen to the beginning of a podcast. I usually fast forward to the beginning of a podcast.
Yep.
I also try not to say the same thing over and over.
I try not to, but I've even been guilty of doing that. I think it just happens.
Yeah. I try not to say the same thing over and over, though. But sometimes I do.
Except the same
I try not to say the same thing over and
over. Okay, next up is Jason S. I really enjoy the podcast and the banter between everyone. It reminds me of being in the military when you could talk the best stuff about each other and still be the best of friends. So I wanted to know if there are requests allowed for reviews. I am looking to add another semi-auto with 15 rounds. Sorry, Tony, and I really want or think I want a Smith & Wesson 2.0 3.6-inch barreled length 9mm. My favorite is my current EDC Smith & Wesson 9mm shield, but it doesn't have the capacity I want. I like to train, so this would be my EDC and my trainer. Thoughts, suggestions would be great. Well, I'm going to chime in here, and if he knows that he likes that gun and it fits his hand and does all the things that you should choose when picking a gun, I don't think you can go wrong with the Smith & Wesson 2.0 personally.
No, me neither. The Smith & Wesson line of guns are good. The M&P
I mean,
line.
I would, yeah. I mean, maybe look into like the CZ if you is the only one that's I can think remotely close that would they're like
Even the CZ has a little bit longer barrel.
Right. I
so
was thinking,
if you're stuck on that barrel length, I'm gonna say just go with that.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the shorter barrel. I like at least a 4-inch barrel for reasons with velocity of it. Most ammo is designed to pass FBI specs, which is tested with a 4.5-inch barrel. So most modern defensive ammo is designed to expand reliably and penetrate reliably out of a 4.5-inch barrel. So I try not to get much shorter than a 4-inch barrel. Although I just saw a pretty cool video earlier today where they were testing HSTs and out of a 3-inch, and it got full expansion and 13.5 inches of penetration. So
yeah, and then
but yeah, if you're not stuck on that barrel length though, if you're okay with a little bit longer barrel, then you open up to a world of possibilities. Then there's the CZ, the P10C,
yeah,
there's the FN 509, you have the Glock 19. I'm partial to Glocks. If you listen to the show, you know that. But you really can't go wrong with any of the ones we named above. Just don't get. Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it because everybody knows what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say it.
You're a nice guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. I mean, they're really all. You can get. There are some of the manufacturers that make short barreled defensive ammo.
Yeah, there are. I like it, man. And again, the HSTs are from the guy looked like he did everything calibrated correctly and stuff. So I just try to stick with. I have a Glock 26, which has a 3.5-inch barrel, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I just make sure I use plus P's out of it instead of standard velocity ammo. But if you're not stuck on that barrel length, it opens up a world of possibilities for. I mean, even I think the VP9 makes one, or the HK makes one right about that size. The VP9K, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But if you like the Smith & Wesson, you like the Shield already, obviously. So
you're not going to go wrong with it.
It's a fine gun.
Yeah.
Depending on how you carry, though, you might want to look at a little bit longer barrel. If you're carrying behind the hip, kind of really doesn't matter. If you're carrying appendix, I prefer a longer barrel. So, but
yeah, and that's kind of the thing. And if you're carrying like right in front of the hip, I mean, not quite appendix, but
yeah, like a 2 o'clock.
Yeah, or 2:30
or something. Yeah.
Then sometimes the shorter barrel actually makes it
so it doesn't rub up against your hip bone.
Right. So it's kind of depends on where you're going to carry it to. So
us little people can't carry at like 2 o'clock. It just doesn't work. You got to either carry appendix or behind the hip.
Yeah, that's us fat people can carry wherever. So I mean, yeah,
trade off.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I guess we get to go over Tony's Second Is for Everyone diversity shoot events. We have no idea when the events are happening, but go check out Simon Says Train on Instagram. You can check out the Second Is for Everyone Facebook page. He does have the 2A for E webpage. He does have a GoFundMe and a Patreon. So go give him some money or something, and you don't have to hear him list off all this stuff on when it is, but it'll be in the show notes. Go check it out. Click on it. If you're anywhere close to where he's doing these, go see him. It'd make his day.
Yeah.
I
He's all over the place. Like he's got like 18 different Facebooks and Instagrams. So you should at least follow one of them.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, he's pretty easy to find nowadays. So.
He made it all the way to the Occupy Democrats Logic Facebook page. So he's pretty much famous now.
Yeah, that's true. He's or infamous. I'm not sure which. So.
Something.
Yep. Well, send questions, comments, feedback to gungearreview@gmail.com. And we appreciate the feedback from Steve and Jason. Thank you very much. It looks like Zane also read Running Wolf Texas's email from last week. He said, thanks. Of course, we're going to put it in here. I mean, we don't care if it's good or bad. We'll read it all. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. It helps us in the standings or something like that, or so they tell me. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv. Find us at Firearms Insider everywhere. Visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. And thank you for listening to the largest pound for pound podcast, except this week.
I was going to say not this week.
This week it's the lightweight podcast or something. I'm not sure what it is. And we are out. So
bye, Felicia.
Yeah, there you go.